Hey, hi, hello, it's me, Hunter. I just wanted to say something before the podcast starts. We actually encountered a lot of technical issues while recording this week's episode. About an hour into the podcast, my Discord connection actually got dropped, so we had to pause the recording for a little bit. And near the end of the discussion, you'll notice that a lot of the words that I start saying sound jumbled up and just odd. For some reason, the recording on me specifically started to glitch out, and I have no idea why. I'm going to look into it so that way in the future this doesn't happen. I apologize. I tried to salvage it and make everything sound as natural as I could. So it might come off a little weird at the end, but I'm still learning as we go along with this podcast. Other than that, boy, I really need to work on saying that, huh? Other than that, please enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye! Sam,
Hey, Hunter.
why did we name the podcast what we named it?
Hunter,
Hi. Yes.
we're so stupid.
Yes. This is the last time. The last time that we are introducing this fucking podcast and what we do.
Third time is the charm.
Sam,
Hunter.
who are you and why are you named what you are?
My name is Sam, and Kuma is just a tag that I go by on like everything because it means bear in Japanese, and my middle name is Bear. Hunter, who are you?
Hi, I'm Hunter. I'm Kumo, and I go by Spider Slash. And because Sam goes by Kuma, which is Japanese for bear, I go by Kumo because it's one letter off and it's Japanese for spider. And it's called Kuma and Kumo Present because we are presenting a podcast. And that's it. That's the fucking show. And we're done.
And what is the podcast about?
We review and discuss a movie.
What,
That's it.
what movie did we talk about today?
Okay. This week we went with my choice, which is Street Fighter 2 movie, which is what it's called in Japan. And everywhere else in the world, it's called Street Fighter 2 the animated movie.
Because there is a Street Fighter 2, or I think it's just Street Fighter the movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, right?
It's just called Street. I think it's just called Street Fighter. Let me look back real quick. 'Cause I actually do have it. Surprise, surprise.
The Hunter shelf of magic. If any movie has been released in the past 30 years, it's probably on Hunter's shelf.
And I haven't seen it. You're right. It is Street Fighter the movie.
Not to be confused with Street Fighter the movie, the game, an arcade
And
game.
not to be confused with The Street Fighter, which is a series of Japanese action films, which I have not seen.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm going to be completely honest.
That is a thing. That is a thing. Before we start, I just want to say I am making a conscious effort to keep my hands on my armrests, because if I have to hear myself while editing this fucking podcast tap my goddamn microphone one more time, I swear to God.
You do fucking bump that shit quite often.
I hate it. It's because I have a desk mic. It's not hanging anywhere. It's a desktop USB mic, which is good. Like, it sounds good, but it also picks up everything, which is why I generally sound lower. because I recorded a lower gain. This is very exciting information, I'm sure. Now, why did I pick this movie? I wanted to talk about the Street Fighter 2 anime movie.
Because you like Street Fighter.
I do like Street Fighter.
I like Street Fighter.
We both like Street Fighter.
I would say you're like more into Street Fighter than me because I just play like two of the games. You're like invested in like the lore and the characters more than me.
I am. But it's funny because I haven't played every single Street Fighter game. Which is I have been steadily reviewing all of them, but I haven't played all of them. Street Fighter 2 Street Fighter or Street Fighter 2 as a whole means a lot to me.
I would just like to say for like the 5 of you who are listening to this that don't know what Street Fighter is, it is a fighting game series that's been going on since what, 89? 87?
Maybe I think 87 because I think that's when Street Fighter 1 came out.
And it's a long
It's been going on longer than Mega Man. I know that.
It's a long-running fighting game series like Mortal Kombat because I assume everyone and their grandmother knows what Mortal Kombat is.
100%.
It's the same style of game, has like 1,200 different variations and versions of
revisions, re-releases, special editions.
But Street Fighter was pretty big in the 90s, I would say.
Massively. It rejuvenated an entire genre.
I wouldn't say it was like Sonic the Hedgehog or like Pokemon big, but it was pretty big.
When Street Fighter 2 came out, I would say it was.
Yeah.
Like vanilla Street Fighter 2, because that game blew the fuck up.
Because it had its own like animated series, but also everything had its own animated series.
Yeah, so that's not big a deal. It ranked in so much money because at the time, there wasn't really anything like it. Fighting games existed, but not like Street Fighter 2. They were they were like 2-button fighting games.
Yeah.
You had jump, you had jump and you had kick. They were very slow, very methodical, very sluggish, and very unresponsive. But that's more so due to the time of which they were released in, like Karate Champ, Yi-Er, or is it Yi-Er?
I think it's Yi-Er Kung Fu.
Yi-Er Kung Fu, yeah. And the original Street Fighter. But that game, the original, even though it's just as
basic and
slow and shitty as those other games, it introduced. I don't like those games. I don't like Street Fighter 1. I think that game sucks.
I don't think anyone's gonna defend Street Fighter 1.
But I will never discount its legacy because that game. I don't know if it was the first, but it popularized special moves. And having a multi-button, button layout.
Like everyone who knows Street Fighter, even if you don't know what Street Fighter is, you know like Ryu or Ken doing the Hadouken, the fireball.
Or at absolute most, I would silence that phone. By the way.
Oh, can you hear that?
Yes, I can, and I heard it in the last episode too.
Oh no.
But even more than that, you absolutely know Chun-Li.
Yeah.
Like 100%. It's those constants. It's Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, and Guile. I would say you know them.
Guile.
Probably Zangief too. But like Street Fighter 2, not to harp on it too much because we do have like a movie to talk about. But Street Fighter 2, when it came out, massive. Nothing else like it. Fast for the time. Had combos, actual combos. Started out as accidents, that mechanic, but they left it in and they built upon it.
But yeah,
several different types of like play styles. Like that's where charge motions were introduced. Full circle motions.
Everyone knows like the down forward, the forward special move. It's been memed out of existence at this point.
Yeah. So, and it had just a big colorful cast of
Stereotypes.
wonderful worldly stereotypes.
You had sumo wrestler. You had
Indian man.
you had Chinese woman.
You had
Karate Man in Karate Man 2.
You had boxer.
You had big wrestle Russian man
You had American guy.
with American flags tattooed on his shoulders.
You know why he has two, right?
Was it
Because of his sprite.
Yeah, because of his in-game model. They had
for those that don't know, Guile, the character, he has an American flag tattooed on his shoulder, which you'd think he would just have one, but because of how sprites and art worked back then, the flag tattoo was mirrored on both shoulders, so they just made that a part of his design. They couldn't flip it like they did with Sagat.
Number three for the night.
Shut up. Stop counting that. Sagat's eye patch. Because I think they did flip the sprite.
They did.
Properly.
They did the same for Sagat, who, in the game, he has an eye patch. And people call it the magic eye patch. Because instead of just, like, making a whole new, like, piece of art that has the eye patch on the right side, they just flip the eye patch. And normally it's on his, left eye? It's on his left eye, right?
I believe it's the left eye.
So normally his eye patch is on the left eye, but when they would flip it to be on the other side of the screen, it moved to his right eye, so it would look the same.
Yeah. Sam, this is going to be a very dangerous episode because we are 11 minutes in and we have barely talked about the movie that we were supposed to.
Well, we cut out a lot of the stuff. We're only like 8 minutes in.
Kind of. I don't edit it that much.
So talking about the movie.
Yes, this movie came out in 94. I believe Street Fighter 2 came out in 91, right? It definitely came out a little bit after Street Fighter 2 blew the absolute hell up.
Because this was based on the third iteration of Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2.
Yes, the new challengers, which introduced like way more characters. But what we're saying is that this game came out at the height of, I would say, Street Fighter 2 fever. Because it was still like massive in Japan, massive all over the world, just unbelievable. And I was right, by the way, 91. So this came out 3 years after, and Street Fighter 2 is still massive.
Yeah.
It was produced by, I believe, Studio TAC. I think that's the name of the studio.
Yeah.
Which that Studio TAC is it's a big. At the time, it was still a pretty big studio. They made a lot of anime that I think are considered classics. You mentioned that they made several Spaceship Yamato movies.
Yeah, one of the biggest space operas of like the 70s for anime.
And they also went on, after all the Street Fighter stuff, they went on to produce the Baki animes,
which you have reviewed on your website, I think.
I've reviewed season 1. I still need to do season 2. Which has one of the ugliest openings for a show I think I've ever seen in my life.
Look forward to that, folks.
Oh, God. But it came out in 94. It didn't come out in the States until, I think, a few years later, maybe?
What, Street Fighter 2?
Yeah, the movie.
Okay.
In America, it didn't come out until... This is great. This is great audio, I'm sure.
You're doing great, Hunter.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
A year later.
Oh, so it came out in 95 here.
Yeah, that's actually rare for an anime production back then, I think. Because usually those didn't come out for like a few years after they come out in Japan. So that's actually impressive. In Japan, it was a runaway fucking hit. one of the highest grossing films of that year.
Was this released in theaters?
In Japan it was.
Okay.
Although interestingly enough, in America it was straight to video, but it was rated by the MPAA. For PG-13,
which is funny.
Because, it's because when it came out, for the PG-13 version initially, they cut out a lot of stuff and they censored a lot of the violence. In the movie, there's a lot of instances of like blood,
not like gratuitous like blood.
Not gratuitous, but considering the audience Street Fighter 2 had at the time,
which is mostly like kids and like teenagers.
Yeah, they had to censor a lot of it. Funnily enough, they actually cut out a lot of. They would argue like filler scenes, like people walking away, establishing shots, like characters looking on at things. Basically to like move the pace of the film, like at a much quicker pace.
You mentioned that it was 2 minutes shorter in the original English release?
Yes, it's around 2 minutes shorter. And this is because I hinted at this when I brought the movie up last week. Street Fighter 2 has which is what I'm going to call it from now on. I'm just going to call it Street Fighter 2. Because we're talking about the movie in this movie podcast and not the game, because we're not a game podcast. I don't think yet.
Oh, God.
Imagine if we devolve into that. But
I'll just bring up Metal Gear Solid 4. That's a movie, essentially.
Oh, that's fine. I'll bring up Postal.
Oh, boy. All right, that's one Postal mention every podcast so far.
Wrong. I didn't bring it up last time.
Oh, my mistake.
Don't exaggerate.
My mistake.
Don't make me go on about Postal. But the English dub of Street Fighter 2 is interesting because it was made at a very weird time for English dubbing in anime, because at the time, anime in America specifically, because that's really the only perspective I can really talk from, because I don't know much about the rest of the world in terms of this. It was still very new. A lot of stuff was still being brought over. They were still trying to figure things out. We had stuff like Speed Racer, Voltron, I think at the time Robotech, but I can't be 100% sure.
I think that was around the time.
And and Akira, because that got released in theaters.
I'm pretty sure there were like some bootlegs like floating around, but nothing like official.
Yeah, and I don't think they were dubbed either.
I think they were. No, they were subbed. They were subbed, I think.
Yeah. And at the time, people were still trying to figure out how voice acting for anime really worked, because there wasn't really any form of unionization or, I guess, like, real forms of, like, credit. I think it messed up, like, what is it, the Screen Actors Guild? Or Screenwriters Guild? I think it's one of those two. They weren't really counting credited voice acting work at the time, or there was something. What I'm getting at is that dubbing back then was way different. So, and they handled it differently too. There were the dubbing studio that did this. I forget the name of it. I think it might have been Animes. They told the actors to do multiple takes and to experiment with the words. So, because of that, there are 3 different English dubs for this movie. There is the one you and I watched, Sam.
Yeah.
Which is the North American unrated cut. It's slightly different from the 93... not 93, the PG-13 rated one, because ours used slightly more, like, angrier language, harsher language.
Yeah, there was more like, what was that scene with Vega? in the famous shower scene with Chun-Li says something like a rabbit or something like that.
Well, yeah, I think like he mentioned like killing rabbits, like beautiful rabbits like her, but it's mostly stuff like him saying like, "Oh, you bitch," or or Guile calling Bison like a bastard, stuff like that. Like a lot like harsher sounding language, and they left in a lot of the bloodier violence.
Yeah.
While the PG-13 one censored a lot of that, and it had you got the worst you got in the PG-13 version was like damn or hell. And then there's the weird ass UK unrated dub, which is filled with like characters saying fuck, shit. The violence is completely intact. And that's because at the time, for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of wish I looked into this before I started talking about it, but a lot of anime dubbing companies aimed for a 15 plus rating. I don't know why. I'm assuming maybe it sold more because they were like, this isn't your grandmother's cartoon. This is for the cool kids.
We really didn't get a lot of like censoring until what, like 4Kids came around when they did like Pokemon.
Yeah, that was the worst it got.
Yeah,
that was the worst it got. But what I'm saying is that like it's weird how that worked. I can't imagine like any other English dub that has something like that.
Off the top
where
of my
there
head.
there are three different versions. And people have seen a different movie in English than other people. Like you could probably like talk to someone who was around when this movie came out and mention like, "Oh yeah, I saw the Street Fighter 2 like animated movie. Oh yeah, I remember that. Remember when that guy got shot to death?" No, I don't remember that at all. I remember oh man, I remember that great line Guile said to Bison where he said he'll like take him down. Yeah, he called him like an evil bastard.
No,
he didn't. Like that's fascinating. Like it really is. And that's not even counting like unused like dub dialogue. Because in the Street Fighter 2 movie, we'll review this movie soon. I just like going on about this history because this film fascinates me.
Luckily, there's not like a big plot to talk about for this movie because it's
yeah.
it's mostly just action scenes.
Yeah, this might be a shorter podcast when we actually start reviewing the movie. But there's actually unused dub dialogue of the actors saying, because a lot of characters actually do the like iconic Street Fighter moves, and they say their names correctly
for the most part.
But there's unused dialogue of them saying the translated version. So
like would they say like Hurricane Kick instead of Tatsumaki?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's really weird. And like that was unheard of for the longest time until Discotheque, which is the version of the movie that we watched, which is beautiful, looks fantastic, sounds great, it's awesome. I love Discotheque. They do amazing work. They actually got in contact with the I think it was the producer of the dub, and they got the original masters. So they just got like a treasure trove of everything, and it's also how they were able to make so many different audio tracks, so you can mix and match like exactly what kind of dub you want to listen to with a specific soundtrack.
Because I think you were showing me that too, where it's like there's the Japanese, the English, and then the UK one, right?
Japanese, English, unrated English, and unrated UK. And with the English versions, you can have the option to play the Japanese or the American soundtracks, and vice versa. And that's important because the Japanese soundtrack is much different than the one that Sam and I watched and listened to.
Because the version we watched had a lot of licensed music.
From bands like Korn, Alice in Chains, I forget who else.
Those are just the two that come to mind.
Yes. KMFDM. That's another one. Which I think is because Sony had something to do with it. I don't know if they recorded it in the same like studio or something like that, but they were able to license the music out. And it also had its own original soundtrack, which actually the non-licensed stuff in this movie sounds great.
It's not bad.
I love the woody, like tribal sounding music, especially whenever it focuses on Ryu, because it fits so well. But that's it. I'll shut up about the weird history with this movie, and I should probably talk about.
But before we move on, there was something cool in like the menus. For those who don't know, there is a weird translation sort of copyright.
Oh yes.
What would you call it? It was like they were avoiding like a lawsuit essentially.
Okay.
When Street Fighter had first come out in '92, whenever it came over to America.
So, for those that don't know, there are 3 boss characters in Street Fighter's history. There is Balrog, the boxer. There is Vega, the matador.
With the claw.
And there's Bison, the big bad.
Dictator.
In Japan, the boxer is called Bison, M. Bison. The matador with the claw is called Balrog, and the big bad, the dictator, is called Vega. The reason why they had to switch the names around is because Boxer was named Bison in Japan,
M. Bison,
but it was M. Bison, aka Mike Bison,
because he was a big reference, and actually inspired by Mike Tyson, who was huge at the time.
Yes, and Capcom of America, and I imagine the rest of the world, they were afraid of a lawsuit, so they switched the names around. Why they switched all 3, I will never know. Why couldn't they just switch Boxer's name out with Vega or Claw? Why did they do all 3? It will never make sense, and it's why whenever you listen to like an international broadcast of a Street Fighter tournament, you'll hear those characters be referred to as Claw, Boxer, and Dictator. But the reason why we bring this up is because the subtitles for this are very weird, because it gives you a subtitle option for the English or the Japanese names, which is cool until you find out that the subtitles aren't mapped to the English-speaking adaptation of the film. They are subtitles for the Japanese dub exclusively.
Because we were watching, in the Japanese dub, the background characters don't really talk a lot. But in the English dub, they have lines. Like, there is dialogue going on, but there's no subtitles for them.
Yeah. Or like there's long periods of time where like in the Japanese dub characters aren't really speaking, or they wrap up their dialogue early. But in the English dub, they fill the dead air with more lines of dialogue. And it was very surreal. I wouldn't call it bad or even really distracting, but it was definitely an interesting thing to notice, to see what the English dub did in reference to the Japanese script, like what they added in post and stuff like that. It was also really funny because the subtitles also translated the licensed J-pop that is in the Japanese dub. And the whole time, like, we're watching like Chun-Li kick the shit out of Vega while what I always get the name mixed up. KFMDM?
I think. I'm not too sure.
KFDM? Weird band name. I'm sorry. I love your song. I apologize. But we're watching Chun-Li kick the shit out of Claw to this licensed American song, but you look at the subtitles and it's for a completely different song, which I looked into. It's a lot softer, which purposely, like, it's like a softer, like, sounding song, which is supposed to contrast, like, the action you're seeing on screen rather than hype you up with what you're watching. Which makes sense in a sense, but come on.
But then there's...
You and I watched that scene.
Yeah.
It's badass.
I'm pretty sure with the soft sounding music, it probably wouldn't hit as hard. I mean, the choreography and the animation is, like, amazing in that scene. But
absolutely beautiful. Really, for the movie as a whole. Up until the very end, it looks stunning. Like, absolutely beautiful.
It's not, like, terrible. Like, it does look a little cheaper.
No.
But it's fine.
Yeah, it's nothing bad. It's just, you can tell, like, a lot of the budget went to earlier, like, crazier looking fight scenes. And they had to save what they could for the finale, which does get crazy, but there are but because it's a longer fight, there's a lot more noticeable, like, animation, like, recycling.
Like,
or, like, lips not moving and stuff like
there's
that.
a scene where Kin jumps down from, like, a cliff and he lands and he looks so, like, super cool, and his hair is, like, blowing in the wind, but also, like, the cell that they animated is, like, visibly, like, not like a lot, but it's noticeably, like, shaking up and down, like stuff like that, just minor stuff.
Yeah, and really that was the worst it got, was that, because everything else in the movie just looks fantastic. Like you mentioned, the fight choreography. Specifically, I would say the best looking fight scene in the entire movie was the fight between Ryu and Fei Long.
I was gonna say that scene was good. Also,
I know Chun-Li and Claw is up there, but for my money, it's Ryu and Fei Long.
I was gonna say I really like the Honda and Dalsum fight a lot.
Yeah, they did a lot of fun stuff with Dalsum.
Just because Dalsum is a character that has, like, a lot of teleports and, like, mystical, like, yoga powers is what they just, like, describe it as in the games. And it was just cool seeing him, like, levitate and, like, teleport.
Yeah. This film does a great job at providing fan service. Because pretty much every single character from Super Street Fighter 2 was in this movie. The film opens, like, you know, there's Ryu, there's Ken, Cammy, everyone. Whether or not they're in it for very long is a thing you kind of have to deal with, unfortunately. Because they have to fit everyone in there, but you can't focus on everyone. Otherwise, the movie just becomes cluttered.
Like, I think Cammy showed up, like, for a total, like, 5 minutes. There's the scene where she assassinates the senator, and then
which is near the beginning of the film.
And then there's a scene, like, maybe, like, 20 minutes later of her being interrogated by Chun-Li, and that's it.
And it's weird considering Cammy is all over the promotion for this movie. Which I get why. Because she's a popular character, like, you kind of have to put her everywhere, but it's still weird. I guess we should start actually talking about, like, I'm not going to say every scene in this movie, because we're going to be, because with this movie in particular, we're going to be retreading a lot of the same points.
Yeah.
With, like, oh, this looks cool. Oh, this is a little slow. Oh, look, it's corn.
Look, like, it's Alice in Chains.
Yeah, so this, like I said, this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode, maybe. We'll see.
It's probably going to be more like just trivia and, like, neat, like, references.
Or, like, talking about how this movie Because spoiler alert, I love this movie. That's straight up. I love this movie, and I mentioned like last time, like last week, I had complicated feelings on it.
And then watching it again.
And I just fell in love with it. Because I've seen this movie multiple times. I saw it once when I was 11. When I was 11 in middle school, I was really starting to get into Street Fighter. I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't in middle school. I don't fucking know. But I was really getting into Street Fighter. And this was back when Hollywood Video was still around.
Oh, God.
It was on. To be fair, it was on its last legs, but it was still around. And I remember being a kid and wandering over to the VHS section and seeing the Street Fighter 2 movie on VHS, and I wanted to rent it so bad. But it had the mature audience sticker on it.
Oh,
because
no.
it was the U.S. unrated version. Which, looking back in hindsight now, considering we saw a version of the unrated cut, it's ridiculous that I couldn't have just asked. Because that movie would have been fine. But I didn't get to see it. But then I rented the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, which included Street Fighter 3 Third Strike
and Hyper Street Fighter 2.
Hyper Street Fighter 2 and a copy of the movie that was in the Hyper Street Fighter 2 menu. And
so it wasn't like its own disc, it was literally on like the Hyper Street Fighter 2 menu?
Yes. Yeah, you could just select it.
Huh.
And I remember watching it. This was the PG-13 version, so it was still censored. It was still a lot of stuff got cut out.
You didn't see the
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I remember I was like watching it, and we got to New York. And this I'm gonna keep bringing this up. I'm sorry. This whole episode is basically going to be story time with Uncle Hunter.
And I'm just here for the ride. Because this is the second time I've seen this movie. I saw it once in like middle or high school because it was on Netflix. It was on there
for a while. Yeah, it got removed in 2015.
Yeah, and I remember watching it. I thought it was cool, but I didn't because at the time they had this movie. I think they had the animated series, Street Fighter 2 Victory, I think is what it's called.
Oh, God.
I think they had that. I didn't watch it. And then they had the 2 Alpha movies.
Fun fact, Victory is how I learned how to say Ryu's name correctly. Because I saw an episode of it on a movie channel. And I was like, wait, it's not Ryu? That was when I was like 9. I was still like young.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was watching the movie because I was like, I could finally see it. And we get to New York. And for those that don't know, there are 3 very famous things that this movie is known for. There is the fight choreography and the soundtrack being what it is. There is a specific English voice actor that is in this movie. And there is Chun-Li in the shower. And because I was watching the PG-13 version, you only saw Chun-Li's silhouette in the shower. But the whole time I was like, wait, that's it? Wait, hold on. Like, something's not right. There has to be more to this scene. There was. I was young and I didn't have full access to the internet. Then I did.
How old are you?
I was like 11.
Oh, no, how old are you? Like, you're what, 26?
Yeah, I'm 26.
So that was 15 years ago. I mean, okay, yeah.
Well, like, I didn't have actual, like, full access to the internet.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, 15 years ago. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But then a few years later, I had my first, like, iPod video? Whatever the video iPod was called. and I rented Street Fighter 2.
Because
And it was the
it's on the
it was
Apple
the
Store.
UK version. It was, yeah, and it was I think it might have been the UK version.
Where they say fucking
Maybe.
shit a lot.
Yeah, because I remember DJ saying, and Sam was laughing during a scene with DJ where he said like, "Those were some badass mothers."
Those are some badass mothers. Yeah, that's what he says.
In the UK dub, he says, "Those were some badass motherfuckers." Love the UK dub. It's stupid, but that is the version that gave us Chun-Li's tits.
And ass.
Just out there. Kind of. No. The UK version didn't actually cuts out the ass.
Right, you were telling me this. The UK version had the tits, but not the ass for some reason.
Yes, and the original unrated American version has the ass, and only a little bit of the tits.
But this one we watched had both ass and tits.
Both, because Discotech, the wonderful, beautiful bastards they are, put the audio tracks over the full Japanese version of the movie and put in filler audio themselves, so the English voice tracks would actually match the movie. So for the first time, at least in the United States, the full shower scene was there. I know it's historical. It's really not that sexy.
It's not. It's just like a shot of her tits, a shot of her ass, and her silhouette.
It's legitimately the only reason why it's infamous is because horny teenagers was like, "Bro, I saw Chun-Li's boobas, dude. It's insane, bro. They're titties, man. They're real."
Oh my god.
That's really why it's famous.
My...
But that leads into the amazing fight scene with Vega. Or Claw, sorry. Sam, what the fuck are we gonna talk about? Because legitimately, the story of the Street Fighter 2 movie is that there almost isn't any. It's Bison wanting to take over the world.
This is the plot of Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Bison bad. Police try to stop him. Ryu fight him. Ryu win. There we go. That's the synopsis.
It's very, very simple, but in a weird way, it's also engaging.
Because it starts off really cool, because at the end of the original Street Fighter 1, you fight Sagat, who's the big, bald Muay Thai fighter with the eye patch. And this movie starts off with that fight, and it tells how Sagat gets his scar because Ryu does the Shoryuken, the uppercut.
Which this whole opening is beautiful.
It's like one of the best animated scenes I've seen in a while.
It takes place on a really dark, grassy field in the middle of a lightning storm. The shadows are perfect. The lightning adding extra light to everything. The way when Sagat gets the scar on his chest and there's just blood off of him, the way the blood just shines in the darkness looks amazing. And then you get the final bit of the scene with Ryu charging up the Hadoken, and it just looks so good. That specific shot of the lightning surrounding his hands is my desktop, by the way, because it just looks so good.
One of my monitors is the just the Third Strike intro.
But after that, we cut to Cammy just breaking a dude's neck,
and then she gets arrested.
And then we get the info dump on who Shadaloo is.
They call him
the original English version of that name. It's not Shadow Law. There's not a W in that name.
It's Shadaloo. I don't know
why they called it that. But Chun-Li is explaining that, with her big spike wristbands in the middle of a government office, how Shadaloo is using robots to get data on fighters and brainwash them into serving them.
Yeah.
And that's really where the crux of it is. Like where the story begins and ends, because then it's just Bison trying to get to Ryu just because Ryu really knows how to punch people good. That's it.
Because it shows like the big four: Claw, Boxer, Dictator, and Sagat. They're like in their Shadowloo office. Their scientist shows them a robot, and then the robot is just multiple robots, because I think they're all different ones, right?
They're multiple robots, but they're all the same model.
Yeah, they're in different locations of the world. Because I think the original subtitle for Street Fighter 2 was called The World Warrior, because you would travel throughout the world.
Yes, it's the World Warrior, because that was the gimmick.
Yeah, you would go to
every fighter was from all over the planet.
You would go to India to fight Dalsim. You would go to Brazil to fight Blanca, Russia to fight Zangief, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it does that. The movie does do that, because
a lot of globetrotting.
Because
mainly through Asia and America, but you do see a wide variety of locations.
Because Ryu is in like the Himalayas training, and then he goes to, where does he go to fight Fei Long? Where is that? Is that just in, like, near the Himalayas?
I think he does go to Hong Kong. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember if it's actually in like Hong Kong, mainland China, and Fei Long just happens to be like shooting a movie there, or if they're in a different location, and again, Fei Long is just getting ready to shoot a movie.
I do want to ask Hunter an important question, because I'm a big fan when it comes to like voice actors and seeing like other people who they voiced in video games, movies, etc. Hunter was hammering in, don't look up Fei Long's voice actor. I would be like, okay, can I look up Dalsim? Oh yeah, you can do that. Oh, you can look up E Honda. Don't look up Fei Long. Hunter, why can't I look up Fei Long?
Okay, so in the English credits for this movie, Fei Long is voiced by a man named Phil Williams. Now, as I've stated before, every English name on the credits list is a pseudonym, so that is not that person's real name.
Okay.
Phil Williams was a common pseudonym for voice actor Bryan Cranston. Because Bryan Cranston
have fun editing that spike, by the way.
I might leave it in, but Bryan Cranston did a lot of voice acting, and while you were watching it and looking up the other voice actors, you made mention that a lot of them seemed to voice act in Power Rangers. So did Bryan Cranston. He voiced several monsters.
He was never credited, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, he was not. So, and the cool thing is that I admit I'm not really as familiar with like Japanese voice acting.
I am.
But the actor that plays Fei Long, his name is I'm going to mispronounce
Masakatsu
this, and
Funaki.
I very much. Yes, Masakatsu Funaki, who is a really massive figure in the world of Japanese pro wrestling and mixed martial arts. Like, I know who Funaki is. And that is astounding.
This episode is just Hunter Pogs out about everything.
Pretty much. Yeah, because like this movie is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of trivia and weird shit about it. It's so fucking cool and it's especially cool that the same character, Fei Long, is home to both of these. Like, facts. It's so neat. But yeah, no, that was the one thing I really wanted to bring up on the podcast, was that Bryan Cranston was in a Street Fighter movie.
Because he was, and bring up the Power Rangers.
And he was just doing. He was just doing like Bruce Lee yells, and he said the name of Fei Long's fire kick correctly. I don't remember the exact
I
name.
know it's everyone in the FGC calls it like the chicken wing, I think, because the input is like it's like down forward or something like that.
Yeah, it's a reverse Shoryuken.
Yeah.
It's just, I've been wanting to bring that up all week. It's so fucking cool.
It's yeah. I didn't even like notice it either, because like Bryan Cranston has one of those voices where it's like if you hear it, you're like, that's Bryan Cranston. I never picked up on it. I just didn't think about it.
And he sounded good. Really, this entire English dub like is pretty well done and well acted, which I know sounds like a really weird thing to say.
But like in the early '90s, like or late '90s, early 2000s for anime dubbings, English dubs
It was bad.
English dubs were like hit or miss.
Mostly miss.
But you did have like the few standouts, like Cowboy Bebop and like Evangelion, like two that everyone know.
And with like video games, you had like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, but there were a lot of like misses.
But this movie was mostly a hit outside of one character.
Which one was that for you?
That was Ken.
I was gonna say the same about Ryu. I didn't like how Ryu sounded.
Oh, really? I thought he was okay.
Okay, so
I guess he sounded a little peppy.
It wasn't that he sounded peppy. It's just like his voice was. It wasn't. This is gonna be a weird thing to say, but it wasn't like deep enough. If that makes sense. He sounded.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by peppy.
Okay, yeah.
Like he sounded. When you imagine Ryu, you imagine someone with like a deeper voice, or at the very least, like maybe a fiery voice,
Like very, but also very like stoic and calm at the same time. Passionate, I would say.
determined.
Yeah.
Ryu just kind of sounds like a guy.
He sounds like some fucking teenager.
Which is funny because the voice actor that plays Ryu in the English dub went on to voice Guy in Naruto. I can make puns too, motherfucker. I remember last week.
And I remember bringing something up because I was like, "Oh, Hunter, did any of these voice actors go on to like continue in Street Fighter?" Because in the Japanese dub, a lot of them were just like TV stars, really. Like they had no like voice acting work.
Some of them were like some of them had like a lot like really prolific voice acting work and went on to mostly do it. But a lot of the Japanese actors were TV and movie actors.
And you,
who I'm sure did a great job. I've heard it. It's just that's not really the point. A lot of them didn't really stick around for Street Fighter.
But you had you were just like, oh yeah, there is one voice actor. I want to see if you can guess it. Pay attention during this fight scene. It was Dhalsim and E Honda, and E Honda says one thing, and I go, that's Akuma in Street Fighter 4 and onwards.
Street Fighter 5.
Was he?
No, it was a different actor in 4.
But yeah, I just immediately heard Honda, and I was like, oh, that's just. I was like, oh, die 1,000 deaths.
Yep, that's Richard Epcar, a very, very prolific voice actor who, like, does a million things. Like, he's, like, Raiden in Mortal Kombat.
Wait, did you say Raiden?
Joker in the video games. What's that?
Did you say Raiden?
Yeah.
Isn't it Raiden?
Not in Mortal Kombat, it's not.
Really?
No, because he's a white guy.
Oh.
Of course they're not going to pronounce it correctly.
Fair.
But yeah, no, he's Raiden in Mortal Kombat. He sounds great. He's Bobobo. He was
Joseph Joestar.
He's Jigen in Lupin the Third.
He's a lot.
Very, very prolific and very great too. I love his voice. And I was technically wrong about one thing. The guy that voices T-Hawk and like a million side characters, as I pointed out, is Steve Blum.
Yeah.
Who, if you know voice acting, you know who the fuck Steve Blum is.
Spike Spiegel, if anyone's watched any anime.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like the Wolverine voice. He actually did go on to
Tom in
voice
Toonami. If you grew up watching Toonami, the robot in Toonami is Spike Spiegel.
Yeah.
Or Steeple.
He actually did. He actually did go on to voice in the the Street Fighter Alpha movie. He was Ken.
Was he really?
But yeah,
Huh.
I think the guy that played Ryu in this movie is still Ryu, but they replaced Ken's voice actor. Still done by the same studio. I guess they just gonna get the other guy because the guy that voiced Ken in this movie still voice acts.
Oh, does he?
Mainly like side gigs. Like he was he did like minor voices in Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay.
So he still does stuff. And really, every English voice actor in this movie still does stuff.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's always nice to see that because with a lot of like '90s dubs, a lot of them kind of stopped, tapered off once the new millennium hit.
Yeah.
Like once companies like Manga, at least Manga US and ADV and like other places like that went away, you kind of stopped seeing them. So it's nice to see like the majority of the cast like still around doing stuff today.
So yeah, a lot of this movie was just entertaining fight scene. This isn't a movie you watch for the story. It was just cool fight.
Not at all. You're watching it for the spectacle.
You're watching it because you like Street Fighter.
Pretty much, yeah. And I guess there's an argument to be said on whether or not that makes it like a good movie. I don't know the answer to that question, truthfully. Because I was thoroughly entertained, even by the slower parts, because they do, like, with the characters the movie wants to focus on, they do characterize them very well.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately think this is a fantastic adaptation of Ryu. Like, it perfectly encapsulates who he is as a character. But in terms of, like, a plot, or, like, being, like, really well written, no. It's very much a movie. That is the best way I can describe it.
It's not a good movie in terms of like, oh, the plot and message are amazing. It's fun. Like you don't.
It's pure fun.
It's not. It's like it's quite literally the definition of a popcorn flick. You eat popcorn and you watch cool action sequences.
Pretty much. Maybe see a titty every now and then, but that's about it.
Because like, when the plot did happen, especially during the later parts, I did get a little bored.
Yeah, because it was pretty much the same thing over and over and over again. It was Bison sitting on his ass in his big base in Thailand, talking to a scientist who I'm convinced was voiced by Mike Pollock, but I cannot find any information about it.
It was Chun-Li and Guile talking about Bison, trying to find Bison. And then it was Ryu walking, and he fights.
Or Ken thinking about Ryu.
Or Ken talking to his wife, really.
And putting her life in danger.
There's literally a scene.
No to marrying
there's
him.
literally a scene where he's like just driving. Allison Chains is playing, and he's driving, and she's like, he's asking her if she wants to get married, and he doesn't look like happy. He looks like determined, like angry almost.
In thought.
Yeah.
He's clearly like his mind's somewhere else.
And she's like, oh, I haven't really like thought about it. I don't know if I'm ready. And he just starts speeding up behind. He's like going like in between cars. He's like cutting through traffic, and he just starts speeding up.
And then it just cuts to a flashback of him giving Ryu his iconic red headband, and then he's about to hit a damn truck. So literally, even when he's driving, he can't stop thinking about his best friend and how much he just wants to fight him.
That might be a
there's something there.
There's some hidden
There's
subtext.
something there.
I would suggest any psychology major watch this movie and try to find the hidden subtext between Ken's fucking dreams of Ryu.
Just figuring out what the fuck Ken's got going on.
Ken, you good, buddy? You really want to get married to Eliza?
I like really my main complaint with the movie is that it does its damnedest to talk about how great of a fighter Ryu is and how like big of a deal like he really is in like the martial arts world in terms of strength, in terms of technique, in terms of just being an enigma. The champion that beat the best and disappeared. You don't really see him a whole lot.
He fights like twice in the whole, 3 times in the whole movie. He fights Sagat in the beginning. He fights Fei Long. No, he fights 4 times. I'm sorry, those 2 fights. He fights in India because there's the famous scene of him doing like a jump kick into the window of a driving car, and he pulls the guy out.
Yeah. And even when it's... Because I love the scenes where Ryu is just walking around and exploring the world around him. Because that's the appeal of Ryu to me. Is him just being a nomadic fighter. He's just going from place to place, taking in the sights, and perfecting his craft. I don't agree with you with the not showering thing. His hair would not look the way it does. And don't say it looks shiny and greasy. Everyone's hair looks shiny in this movie.
Ken's
you know it. Yes, it does. I'm holding the cover in my hands, and Ken's hair is shining bright.
When he was with Eliza, it didn't look shiny.
With his orange locks. Because he's not blonde for some reason. But this is kind of emblematic of the issues with Street Fighter's story as a whole, as a franchise. Ryu is the main character of Street Fighter. He is not the main character of the stories. He's the main character of his story, not the game story.
He's only the poster boy.
Yeah, because when you try to thrust Ryu into, like, these plots of, like, Shadaloo, or, like, in Street Fighter 3, the Illuminati, or in Street Fighter 4, SIN, or whatever.
See, I don't even know all that. You know more than me.
But it just turns weird, because when you look at Ryu, you don't think action movie protagonist. You think just plain martial artist. He's just a guy who just wants to fight.
And I mentioned that.
He's not a Goku. No. He's not like a Goku or anything like that. He's just a dude.
Because I brought this up while we were watching that a lot of Street Fighter characters are just some guy. Like, you have sumo wrestler, you have boxer. Like, the most extreme that it gets is Blanca, who is a guy mutated by electric eels. Yeah. And then Balrog, or not Balrog, M. Bison, who is just like a dictator who controls this power called psycho power.
Yeah. I would argue the main characters of this movie are Chun-Li, Guile, and honestly Ken.
It is. No, it 100% is.
But Ryu is clearly supposed to be the protagonist. And you get why, cuz like I said, the movie does a great job at showing why people are drawn to Ryu. Like he enjoys fighting, he's pleasant to be around, and he has passion for what he does. But you don't see him enough to the point where you feel like that's our hero. You just think of him like that's the plot point. He's the MacGuffin of the damn movie.
I was about to say it, and I'm really glad you beat me to it. But that really is just Ryu, because the whole time it's following Chun-Li and Guile.
And it also cuts away to Ken, who's trying to get better to best Ryu. And
Bison. Ryu is just there.
Yeah, he's just vibing. He's just going all over the world, just doing what he does. And that's kind of a weird issue Street Fighter as a franchise has. Because, like, there are several other Street Fighter movies Like, even outside of the live action ones, there's like the Alpha movies, there's the 2 Street Fighter 4 OVAs that I haven't seen, but I've seen parts of. And seeing Ryu being entangled in these plots to, like, destroy the world, conquer the world, control people, it looks weird. Because Ryu doesn't fit in. It's why his story in Street Fighter 3 has nothing to do with Gil. It's just him walking around. And why, like, Oro... Like Ryu's antagonist in his story is Oro, and that's just because Oro wants to teach him to succeed in his fighting style. Because he sees Ryu's potential.
The main character of 3 is literally Alex, the fucking wrestler from New York.
And they advertise him as such, but you see Ryu as, like, the face.
Because even when you start up Street Fighter 3, the first thing it hovers on is Ryu.
So it's just really weird as a movie to have, like, this focus and reverence towards this martial artist.
You're holding
in the same plot with, like, the military and Interpol and, like, evil organizations. It's
you have
really odd.
The case in front of you, right? Is he, like, front and center, like the main focus?
He is the largest character on this cover. He is looking directly at you. He is the face of this. The Japanese movie poster is just him kicking in front of the statue of Buddha with a lightning bolt behind him. It's just Ryu. So,
like, he's only really important at the very end when he fights M. Bison with Ken.
And I argued that I think the movie should have been 10 minutes longer, and those 10 minutes would be dedicated to Ryu.
Like, I think that would make this a better movie.
Yeah, like, it would add more to it. Because you'd get to see more of why...
Are you still there? You cut out for me. Welcome back, Hunter.
Fuck Discord!
So, we had some technical issues.
Yeah, my Discord cut out, so I was still talking. I have no idea how long, so but I know exactly what we were talking about, so I'm just going to say the long and short of it. It's weird that Ryu is the main protagonist when it is clearly Guile, Ken, and Chun-Li. And I think they could have done more to have Ryu feel like a main hero. What? Do you have anything else? I've completely derailed my train of thought because of that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's funny because, like, Chun-Li has motivation. Bison killed her dad. That's her motivation for this movie.
Yeah.
Guile is working with Chun-Li because she's a part of Interpol, International Police. He's a major in the U.S. Air Force, so of course they're going to work together. They have motivation.
Yeah, and Bison killed his friend.
Yeah,
so.
Charlie.
Yeah, who they don't name in this movie. But
Street Fighter fans will know it's Charlie, Nash, whatever you want to call him.
Charlie Blanca.
Yeah, true. Ken even has motivation because Bison, in this movie at least, kills Ryu and his master.
No. That was just like a nightmare he had.
Oh, that was just a nightmare? Oh.
Yeah. That had nothing to do with that.
Ryu's only real motivation is when Bison possesses Ken and, like, brainwashes him.
Yeah, he only heard about what Shadaloo was from Fei Long, and he even then he was like, I don't really know anything about that.
That's none of my. He's like, no, that's none of my concern or something like that.
Yeah, like I don't care. Like, what am I gonna do?
I'm just a guy.
I walk around in a karate, like, dogi all day. Like, I don't give a shit.
It even then, like, even Cammy has motivation because she was possessed or brainwashed by Bison.
Yeah, they even make mention that she was a part of, like, the British, like, what is it, MI6?
I think so, yeah, something like that.
But she was kidnapped, so it's, Now, but yeah, like, Ryu he's just kind of there for the ride.
They bring in E Honda at the very end
for no reason. The only reason why he's there is because he makes an offhanded remark, like after they meet, like Ryu and Honda meet after like the fight between him and Dalsum. Honda just says, "Yeah, us Japanese fighters gotta stick together," and I guess they do.
because he's there at the final climactic showdown. It's Ryu, Ken, or Ryu, E Honda, and Guile. Because Ken is captured and brainwashed.
And Balrog is there.
And he looks weird.
Oh my god! Are we gonna talk about Balrog?
We got to. It's jarring.
Okay.
So first of all, he kind of looks like 2 steps away from like a minstrel cartoon in this movie.
Yes, this is an issue Street Fighter has had with Balrog. It feels like specifically for a
DJ was rough. DJ was bad like early on. He looked fine in this movie. He looked good.
Yeah, you look great. I did notice.
But it's always Balrog.
It's always Balrog. If you look in like a lot of like official artwork for Balrog to this day, even
like Street Fighter V,
up as recently as Street Fighter V, even official merch made years after Street Fighter V came out, Balrog is always drawn with these huge ass, bad looking lips, and it looks very bad. And like sometimes he's drawn like his eyes are skewed. I know his art looked like that in like Capcom versus SNK 2.
It's
but
only
he still
like that in the.
But like he still looked like a person. Like he didn't look offensive.
It's only like that in the final showdown too. He looked fine like every other scene he was in.
Kind of. For some reason, I pointed this out while we were watching.
I'm talking about the eye. I was talking about the eyes.
Oh, yeah, the eye thing. But yeah,
because it shows a close up of his face like twice, and his eyes are pointing. Neither of them are looking head on. They're always in different like directions, opposite the camera.
No reason, and I'm going to assume it was a joke on by the animators.
Running out of budget, blah blah blah,
or just feeling like I don't feel like drawing this guy correctly, or something. I don't know, but I pointed out like early on in the movie because the first time we saw Balrog, we both just went, "Oh no,"
because it's like the first thing you see.
Like it's in a dark scene, and they just give him these bright ass lips that no other character in the movie has, and it looks awful. But for some reason, throughout the rest of this scene where he's introduced, they keep adding and then taking them away. So clearly I want to say there was someone on the animation team that was like, I gotta fight to get this out of here. But he lost that fight in the end.
He that one animator did try his best.
It's bad. But yeah, it's Ryu, Guile, and not Cammy, not Chun-Li.
Well, Chun-Li is hospitalized, so that's fine.
But you get what I mean. Why is it E Honda? Was he just like a producer's favorite character?
Why might have been.
Like, why was he like so important?
When did Ono start working on Street Fighter? Was that EX?
Oh god, it might have been EX, but I doubt that. Like that was still 94.
No, I was gonna say like if it was Ono, then it would be Blanca. Because Ono loves Blanca.
Yeah, he does. But man, I don't know. The story's weird, but that's not why you're here.
You're here to watch cool fight scenes.
As we said multiple times, you are here for the spectacle of it. I would argue it's less of a story than the Mortal Kombat movie was.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, because think about it. There was like way more talking in the Mortal Kombat movie and way more like world building.
Wasn't that like a big complaint with the Mortal Kombat movie? That it was...
Yeah, it was like fight scene.
No, I thought it was that it was boring. I thought that was like a big common complaint with it.
I I don't know about that. I might be biased because I legitimately love the Mortal Kombat movie, but like, yeah, it's fight scene, fight scene, fight scene, but all the characters are properly fleshed out. You know who they are. You know who your heroes are. You know who your villains are. You know what's happening, and everyone has proper motivation. And this one, kind of, but not really. It's a bit all over the place, and it's like a lot of the characters take a back seat to the action happening on screen, which is fine. That's not bad. And this movie did great critically and financially. Oh my god, it's because of this movie that like we have like a million adaptations of fighting games, like anime wise.
Yeah.
Like this movie is the reason why we have all those Fatal Fury OVAs.
Did this come out before those? I thought this came out in like 92.
No. The Fatal, like...
Oh, no, it came out in 94.
Yeah. Because of the success of this, a lot of those projects were getting greenlit, but none of them really made the money or the critical success that the Street Fighter 2 movie did.
How many Fatal Fury movies were there? There were like 3, right?
Well, there's 2 OVAs in one movie.
There's the motion picture.
There's a motion picture.
And then Legend of the Hungry Wolf and New Battle.
Which, funnily enough, I haven't seen motion picture. I've only seen the OVAs. I have the motion picture. And I do want to see it. And you know what pisses me off? Sorry, sidetrack from this wonderful movie Sam and I watch. Crunchyroll, the bastards. The moment I got that movie in the mail, they announced, oh yeah, we're just putting it on Crunchyroll, including the OVAs. Fuck!
I mean, there was also the Samurai Showdown one.
Oh, who cares about the Samurai Showdown one? That one looks bad. That one looks straight up bad.
94 as well.
Oh, God, what about the Art of Fighting one where Rio is like...
Is there an Art of Fighting one?
A brunette? Yes, there is. It looks it looks legitimately... It looks like it was supposed to be a Street Fighter movie.
He sure is a brunette.
Like, that is... I know Rio and Robert were like... They were clearly like Ken and Ryu, but they were different enough. That is just Ken and Ryu in that OVA.
It really does look like that. That looks like shit.
I know, doesn't it?
Oh no.
But yeah, what we're saying is that despite the minor qualms, it's taking nothing away from this movie's legacy. From like adaptations or Street Fighter as a whole, this movie had a profound impact on the Street Fighter game series. Because a year later after this came out, Street Fighter Alpha debuted, and almost every single thing in it was directly lifted from the movie.
Like there's a scene where Zangief has a cape.
Yep.
In the movie. In the movie, Zangief has a cape that he wears when he makes his entrance. And in Alpha, he is wearing that same cape.
Same with Cammy. Cammy, while she's being mind controlled, is wearing a long red winter coat, and they put that in her intro in Alpha 3. Or in X-Men vs. Street Fighter, because that's where that version of Cammy premiered.
What came out first, X-Men vs. Street Fighter or Alpha?
Alpha came out first. Because a lot of those sprites are reused, but the Cammy they made for X-Men vs. Street Fighter was made specifically for that game, which is crazy to think about, huh?
That is weird. In the flashbacks of this movie, Ken has a long hair that's tied in a little ponytail at the end. That's how he looks in the Alpha games.
Yep, and they even reference the fact that Ken is the one who gave Ryu his red headband. It's not done exactly the same way in the games, but it's more or less how it happens. The red headband Ryu has had since Street Fighter 2 is from Ken. So you can blame Ryu for Ken looking like shit from every game after Alpha.
And also the beginning fight scene in the movie, the field they're in.
Yes, the fight scene between Ryu and Sagat, that stage was put into Street Fighter Alpha 1
I think it was.
along with a whole ass extra game mode called Dramatic Battle, where you and another player play as Ryu and Ken against Bison,
Which is the climax of the animated movie.
and it plays a remixed version of the Japanese theme to the movie, which I am not even going to attempt to pronounce to you, Sam.
Wait, what was that?
I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the title of that song. I'm not, because it is very, very long.
I want to throw it my way and see if I can give a shot at.
I did. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, what the
You never
fuck?
did.
Damn it! Hang on.
Technical difficulties.
Which, by the way, that remixed song that I used, that they used in Alpha, is what I had playing in the background when I announced my choice last week.
Ah, I see. Itoshisa to setsunasa to kokoro suyasa to. Something like that.
I know that has something to do with like My Beloved or something like that.
Wait,
it's
is
essentially a love song.
that the song that plays when Kid and Ryu are fighting?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god, there's so much subtext.
But that song, it got put into Street Fighter Alpha 1. It got remixed again for the crossover turn-based strategy game Project Cross Zone 2. And they even remixed it for a Japanese commercial for the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. This movie did a lot for Street Fighter. Like, both critically, financially, and just lore-wise, as a whole, it did so much. So, even though it's not, I guess, technically the best movie in the world, you can't deny its legacy. You just can't.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like, from animation to history to game significance to Chun-Li's tits, it has done so much for the game, for gaming community, and I would say anime as a whole. Because this did usher in a big era of fighting game adaptations.
It really did.
God damn, I love this movie, Sam. I really do. And it feels nice to finally say that, because for a while I was thinking, oh, this movie's not that good. There's not a whole lot that happens. It's boring. Fuck that guy. Fuck the old me. I love this movie with all my heart. I
just like the bullfight scenes, man.
That's all you really need from it.
That's how I was when I watched this when I was a kid. I still feel the same way.
Now, to be in the fairness of objectivity, is it a great movie?
No, absolutely not.
No, not really. No, but is it fun? Fuck yes.
So we know.
I highly recommend this to anyone. Period. And you can find it anywhere. It's on Tubi, it's on Crunchyroll. You can rent it for free on YouTube. But you're not going to get all the really awesome special features and historical documentaries that the Discotheque Blu-ray has. So if you want to watch this movie, I highly recommend hunting down a copy of the Blu-ray, because it is fantastic. What about you?
It's fine.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It has nothing going for it in terms of plot or anything. I can't say anything about the Japanese dub or the Japanese OST because I haven't watched that. Mm-hmm. Looking at it as a vacuum of it's really a time capsule of the 90s in a way.
Yeah, it is.
OST dubbing wise, it's fine. The only thing I just
I
it's
do
just
wish the story was better.
yeah, that's fine. It's really
But
just like more of like a commercial for Street Fighter in a way.
a little bit, yeah. So thumbs up for me. Big thumbs up for me. 2 thumbs up. 3 thumbs up. Fuck it. I love this movie.
So you're giving it 2 thumbs.
Damn right I am. 1 for each time Ryu threw a Hadoken in this movie.
I'll give it a thumb. Just 1. I think it would be fun to watch like with a group of friends.
Yeah, and admittedly, you probably won't get much out of it unless you're already like a really big fan of Street Fighter.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch with friends. Should you go out of your way and watch it? If you really like Street Fighter, sure.
Or if you're a fan of like action choreography, I think this is a good movie to study.
Yeah,
for that kind of thing.
Yeah, it has really good animation too. So if you like that, even if you don't like Street Fighter, actually, if you just like good-looking movies and don't care about the plot, and you just want to like make gifs of it and put it online, yeah, just watch this movie.
A very, very gifable movie.
A lot of good gift scenes in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of them.
One of the big ones is that Chun-Li makes like a blushing, like flustered face, and
like pouty face. You've seen that everywhere.
you can literally see like a gif of it, or you've known someone with that as like an icon on a website before.
It's like that picture of Sailor Mars in that pink like overall outfit.
Yeah, it's very famous.
But yeah, that's Street Fighter 2. I think we reviewed it. I think it was mostly me rambling, but
You can't really review this movie in terms of like a plot thing because the plot isn't there.
no, it's not. It's mainly the fun things to talk about are its history and its significance on like the franchise.
Yeah, how it influenced the rest of the franchise.
As a piece of cinema, it's okay.
Okay, Doug Walker. Can we get sued for that?
Don't you ever say that to me again. You motherfucker. Don't you ever compare me to Doug Walker. He's the reason why I'm afraid of going bald.
So 2 thumbs up from Hunter, a thumb up from me.
Yeah. So that was my movie. So now, Sam, we got to get to yours.
So I have 2 ideas, and I've been juggling them back and forth during this recording session, and also watching the movie. So I have a quarter in my hand, and tails is option 1, heads is option 2. What would you like to call? Well, or no, actually, yeah, I'll just do that. Tails is option 1, heads is option 2. I'm just gonna flip it. It landed. What did I say? Tails option 1, heads option 2.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so scared. I'm holding my dog in my lap, and I'm just
okay.
looking
Tails
at her.
option 1. So Hunter.
What is
for
it?
the next week's movie?
Oh,
it's nothing bad. It's nothing horrible. Well, we're gonna watch a movie from around the same era, mid-90s. Just like Street Fighter 2, this was a movie based on a huge cultural phenomenon. And I know you're a fan of this series.
Huh? Okay. What, you have my attention. What is it?
So it is a famous cinematic masterpiece. It is about 5 teenagers with attitudes.
Oh my god.
And how they fight against a purple ooze monster. Hunter, do you know what movie I'm referring to?
Oh, you son of a bitch. Say it. Say the name.
We're gonna watch the 1995's Power Rangers theatrical film.
Oh, God. Okay.
Because I own this movie.
Yeah.
I own this movie on DVD.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen that movie like so many times. Funnily enough, there's a Street Fighter voice actor in there.
Who's in this one?
Johnny Young Bosch.
Oh yeah, he is in this,
He's Yang,
isn't he?
Yeah.
He is Yang. So yeah,
that's. Oh God. All right, can't wait to watch Jason David Frank fight a bunch of dudes in like shitty costumes while Devo is blaring. Oh God. Okay, that's fine with me. Oh Lord Almighty.
Do you have anything to end off with besides just pain and terror that I can hear in your voice?
Well, shilling. We got to tell people where they can find us.
That's fair.
Sam, like I say every week, your name comes up first. You do it first.
Oh really? I had no idea my name came up first. Twitter.com at Stronger Kuma. Sorry if you've been on that account and seen my. I actually haven't been tweeting anything horrible lately.
Not lately. That's not to say about the future. But...
Oh yeah, who knows what the future has in store. Also twitch.tv/Sammy Kuma. I try to stream every Thursday and Saturday, sometimes late at night during the week, just depending on how I'm feeling. Hunter, your name is second on the title.
Yes, it is, because I have to add it every week.
Where can the people find you?
At Spider/ on Twitter. I still tweet whatever bullshit pops into my head. You are warned.
Hunter does sometimes run tweets by me.
Sometimes I do. I've had to hold a few back, actually. Like that one I sent you last night would have made people mad. But I also I'm gonna keep plugging this till the day I finally start doing it. Twitch.tv/Spider/. One day I'll come back. Will that day be soon? No, but we'll be there eventually. Also, spiderslash.com. It is now March, which means I have to finally start working on getting through the Duke Nukem Forever DLC.
You got this, buddy.
I would love to stream that, but I can't.
Why not?
They're titties.
Oh,
I can't do that. I'll get blown the fuck up if I do.
Can't you just like put an overlay or something over it, or like a black bar where the titties are? Or is it just
I can't do that. I can't do that live.
Yeah, you can.
I'm not fast enough.
Do it preemptively.
Plus, I'm playing on PC, and I don't actually have a second monitor, so I can't keep track of that.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's how I fucking am. Sam over here, this triple monitor setup.
3 monitors.
Yeah, I said triple. That's gonna be it from us.
So I've been Kuma.
I've been Kumo. Please listen to this podcast. If you are listening to it on a place that allows ratings, rate us and tell us that we suck. Any review helps, really. Any exposure is good exposure. Sam, do you have anything else to say before we go?
Just remember, the answer lies in the heart of battle.
Epic gamer reference, my friend.
Fortnite.
Yahoo! They are some badass motherfuckers. I am honored.